So I just recently saw The Wolfman, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I did not expect it to be an emotional, entertaining movie at all. It was either Nosferatu or The Wolfman, and I'm a huge Universal Classic Monsters fan, but this iteration of the story was completely different from the previous incarnation. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Lonely Contrast. I will be discussing the latest news in horror, slasher, and sci-fi genre. And this will be my review of The Wolfman, so if you haven't seen the movie, please look away. Or just simply not be mad at me because you didn't take my warning. The Wolfman, which serves as a new entry to the Universal monster story of a man cursed by the bite of the wolf, serves as a standalone film. Universal decided to kill the Dark Universe after the disappointing box office numbers of The Mummy starring Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe. I went in with a fresh mindset of the film and didn't think about any other iteration of The Wolfman. I mean, I did enjoy the 2010 with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, but this film was completely different and I like what they did with the creature. First off, the cinematography of the film by Stefan Duccio was perfect. The scene opens up with a wild view of the landscape where they film a majority of the movie, and I'm telling you, that's how you want to engage the audience. Show something that will capture their eyes. The film opens with a young Blake, respectfully portrayed by Zach Chandler, who is hunting in the wild with his father Gladdy Love, portrayed by Sam Jaeger. You can tell Gladdy had military experience and he is training his son to learn how to fend for himself, even though it looks like Gladdy is actually scarring the boy for life. Then we get a shot of Gladdy and Blake looking at the mountains before they go hunting, which this scene is very important, so we're gonna go back to this soon. As the Lavelle boys go hunting, they are confronted by a monster, which the opening credits of the film indicated there is an animalistic virus going around, and the hiker has gone missing, so this monster is presumed to be the missing hiker or killed by the virus, or vice versa, whichever you want to decide. In this scene, you can tell Gladdy knew what he was hunting and knew how dangerous it was. I honestly felt for the kid. Like in this scene, he went off on his own to prove to his father that he could hunt for a deer. But as all fathers who worry about the safety of their child, he protected him, but not really, because if there was a monster roaming around, would you really bring your child to hunt with you? Soon the father and son are confronted by the monster while they are hiding in the hunting blind, who we still haven't got a glimpse of the creature yet, which I thought was perfect because it preserved the mystery of what the creature is and what the creature looks like. As something catches the monster's attention, we are left with a terrified young Blake and a shaking Gladdy. Hours later, we see Gladdy talking to an unknown person in a walkie-talkie that is saying that they saw the creature and it tried to go after them. I liked the fact that there are people that know the existence of the monster, but it looks like it's kind of like its own town secret. The movie started to feel like a film about traditional family trauma, and by all means, the first scene of the film elaborated that. But I felt like the whole scene could have been its own movie, right? Am I wrong? I would enjoy seeing a young Blake and his father survive against the monster, and then years later in the second film see how Blake can survive again with his own family when put in the same situation. That would have been a good first and second film. The movie fast forward with a grown-up Blake and his daughter Ginger Lavelle, portrayed by Matilda Firth. You can see the difference in parenting versus Blake and his father and how he is trying his best not to be like him by being better. I think what the writers did was perfect when showing the contrast of both individuals, as well as the friction of his marriage with his wife Charlotte Lavelle, portrayed by Julia Gardner, who I was a bit disappointed in her acting in this film. I don't know, there was something off about her in this film, but beggars can't be choosers. So with Blake finding out that his father's estate belongs to him because of the fact that his father has been missing, we see the side of Blake filled with regret and sadness, which I thought Christopher Albert sold this performance of an emotional damaged person filled with regret. He also sold the performance when convincing his wife Charlotte to go with him to look at his father's estate, which showed remorse, love, and willingness to rebuild a broken marriage, which Charlotte kinda only focuses more on her job than her actual marriage and her daughter. We fast forwarded with the Lavelle family on the road, and I love this scene because it was perfect. It was dark, it was spooky, and most importantly, you didn't know what was coming. I mean, yeah, you felt something was about to happen, but didn't know when and where and how. Soon the family is met with Derek, who is played by Benedict Hardy, who was in the hunting blind, watching from a distance. When the family mistakes Derek's house for Blake's father, Derek agrees to go with the family to find the location. Moments later, Blake drives off the road when he sees a mysterious creature standing on its 2 feet in front of the road. Once again, I love the whole mystery of them not revealing the creature. It kept me curious because I wanted to know what the looked like. Once again, we don't get to see the creature, but we get to hear it, and then when you think Derek is gonna make it through, falls off the truck and gets taken away by the creature. Love the fact they haven't revealed the creature. Moments later, the Lavelle family were able to escape the crash and make it into the house before they were killed by the creature, who we got to see a tiny glimpse of the creature in the background chasing them, which I thought was a classic horror move. Now, this is where the film gets interesting. We get to finally see a slow progression of Blake turning into the creature when he realizes he was scratched by it. His senses get heightened, in which there was a badass scene where he actually heard an insect from all the way downstairs. You'll see. He suddenly starts losing his hair, his teeth, and nails. We start to see where he sees through his own eyes, which I think has never been done before. We finally get the reveal of the creature that has been hunting them. When Blake almost attacks his own family, he decided to walk out of the house, and when doing so, he accidentally let the creature in, and we got to see a full glimpse of the monster, which I thought was very different from the original films. He actually looked more human with animalistic features, which I thought was kinda cool. But Blake gets the drop of the creature and rips his neck off. By doing so, he realizes that the creature he killed was his father after all, who was actually been missing. I felt the emotion in this scene because Blake left his dad because he was tired of the abuse, but then, if you think about it, was it really abuse or a father trying to teach his only boy how to survive in the wild? But the scene was powerful. He realized that Blake has become something he has been trying to fight his whole life, which was not become his father, and he couldn't believe that he killed his own father, so he removed himself from the equation and walked out. Honestly, as a new father myself, this movie got to me. I was in the theater with my nieces and the whole movie theater got quiet. Once again, this movie was spot on about traditional family trauma. As we get to the last scene of the movie where Blake starts finally transforming into the creature, I think the makeup was perfect. I love the jaw being pulled by his own hand so he can extend it, and I like this unique version which made it more realistic. But then history repeats itself. Charlotte and Ginger head to the hunting blind, now hiding from the creatures just like Blake did with his father. This time Charlotte takes the shot and kills Blake. We get a moment of silence as the mother and daughter get closer, which they weren't before, but both start to mourn the father and husband they lost. And just like the beginning of the film where we see Blake and his father looking at the mountains and landscapes, we see Ginger and Charlotte looking at the mountains and landscape as the movie ends. I enjoyed this film. I thought the emotional balance between father and son, mother and daughter, wife and husband was pretty incorporated within this film. The movie was a nice pace and they haven't revealed the creature until the end, which I like because why spoil the beginning of the film? I thought the design of the Wolfman was interesting, and I think that the transformation seemed like once they turn into a creature, they would be stuck like that forever, which I thought was pretty cool. Christopher Abbott sold this performance, and honestly his acting was great within the film, which I thought he held down the entire film himself. I loved it, and I hope you guys can give this movie a chance, and go see it though while it's in theaters. As always, this is Lonely Contrast. Thank you for watching, and please be safe.